This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
You are listening to Copy Chief Radio. I have here with me the Copy Chief himself, Kevin Rogers. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Jonathan. Great to be with you, man. I'm excited to start this new adventure.
You don't even understand, man. When and you're a guy that's done like a million guest interviews, and I think you've got 2 or 3 of your own podcasts going, and now you're starting this one with me. Do you know that when you were you're still doing The Truth About Marketing, I was just kind of jealous that you weren't on the Podcast Factory Network.
I think I saw you say that somewhere, and I was like, you had your chance, Jonathan.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I guess there is such a thing as second chances, and here we are working together. I'm really, really excited to be working with you, Kevin. And here's what I want to know. You do a lot of different shows. You've got your Copy Chief community. How is this show going to be different than the other stuff that you're already doing?
Yeah, great question. And an important distinction. This show is going to be different because it's real-time marketing happenings, let's say, right? To use sophisticated language. So in Copy Chief, what we do is we're basically, we're rooted in the foundational stuff that's just proven timeless, effective copywriting and marketing tactics. However, things change fast in this business. And so we're constantly examining what's going on, right? Everything from, what's happening with podcasting, for instance. How is that translating into sales for people? What's going on with these new, humorous approaches to selling products like the Squatty Potty with the, pooping unicorn, right? Those kinds of things. And it's like, we have fun with it, but we're really breaking stuff apart all the time and going, why is this working and how can we emulate it in our marketing?
Nice. And I guess I took it a little bit for granted. I feel like everybody should know you just because I know you, and it seems like everybody I know knows you. But just in case we have new people coming in that haven't experienced Kevin Rogers, can you just give us a little quick background about you?
Yeah, sure. I'm a former stand-up comedian turned direct response copywriter. So, high school dropout. This is not a show that's going to go over your head. I can tell you that right now. I'm a bootstrapping kind of guy. And, so about 17 years old, found my way onto a stand-up comedy stage, was instantly addicted, traveled the United States as a touring I'll use this term very loosely, professional stand-up comedian for almost a decade, worked with some amazing comics like Louis C.K. and Chris Rock. Billy Gardell's the guy who I am still very good friends with. We started our careers together. So Jim Brewer, another great friend, brilliant people. And that was my world, man. I just thought everybody did this stuff and just got to travel around. I couldn't relate at all to business or working a job or any crazy stuff like that. And then, I realized, look, as I started to mature a little, there's, talent is only the first requirement to being successful in show business. And if things aren't clicking for you, you better find something else. So I took a long, weird, twisty-turny road out of touring as a stand-up into what seems like now a comparatively normal workplace. But I'll tell you what, when I hang out with copywriters, I'm like, these are just comics with a different job. It's the same sarcastic, hilarious mindset, right? I love it. And so now I've spent another decade as a, copywriter. I was a freelance copywriter for years, working solo. And then I realized what I really love is to collaborate. So I started working as a copy chief, where that means I work with the client and the copywriter to just help everybody, get the best work, create the best campaign. And that's what I pride myself on, really helping bring a lot of enthusiasm to a project, seeing the hooks that aren't there, and making it dynamic. And I've been fortunate to have a lot of success.
I've actually bared witness to that, where I am a member of your Copy Chief community, and I started working on a 60-second sales hook, and I put it out there, and you were kind enough to go in there, dig into it a little bit along with other members of the community, and you found this hook that was hidden all the way at the end, moved it to the front, and the thing's been converting like crazy. I haven't had to change that video. I've got a waiting list, so I am here as a witness that what you do works as a Copy Chief, and your community is the real deal. And I'm really just grateful to be a part of it.
No, that's awesome, dude. I love hearing that stuff. And, our motto in Copy Chief is nobody writes alone. It's impossible for us to see what's best about our own stuff. It really just is. You're always too close to it. So having other eyeballs to point out what can seem obvious is really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So, Kevin, tell us, who is this show for?
This show is for anybody who wants to, communicate better with their audience. Even if you don't have a business yet, honestly, you could use the things you'll learn in this show just to write better emails. Say you are in a corporate job and you just, you have to lead up committees and you want to make sure people start attending meetings and reading your emails. I mean, it could be that simple. You get huge advantage by learning the stuff we talk about on the show. On a higher level, it's for marketers, business owners, freelance copywriters, publishers, anybody who makes their money getting people to take action on the words they communicate with. Right. And so that's
anybody in sales then?
Anybody in sales.
Anybody selling anything?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's who's going to get the most use out of it, whether it's face to face. But man, just, how we communicate every day, just simplifying stuff is really crucial. So those are the kind of things you'll get out of it. It's for, anybody selling anything. And especially if you want to position yourself as an authority and an expert in any industry, then this show is going to be like a gold mine for you.
Excellent, man. So I'm looking forward to that. And can you just give us a couple more little factoids here? How often are we going to be bringing the show to the listeners, and what can they expect in our shows?
Yeah, so we're going to publish a new show once a week. And what they can expect is, a lot of fun, but very, I like to say, a loose but pointed conversation. Oh. So, I have this thing. I hate wasting anybody's time. And so if they tune in for 15, 20 minutes, however long that episode is, my promise is that they're going to walk away with something they can't wait to try. Again, it could be something they're going to do differently in the next email they send. It could be a big idea for a new product or how to create a new sales video letter, whatever. They're going to get some huge actionable value. And I'm also going to bring in a lot of guests. Jonathan, this might be something kind of new for your shows. And by the way, I am thrilled to be part of the Podcast Factory.
Thank you.
What you've built here is super cool. Thrilled to be in a network with guys like Ben Settle and Dan Meredith and Doberman Dan and these cats that I've learned from and respected for a long, long time. And so you'll hear guests, look, anybody could show up here. It could be a comic friend of mine. It could be a legendary marketer, an underground copywriter that you've only heard of and never really hear from. Maybe like, Paris Lampropoulos, somebody like that. Or it might be a member of the community who's never been on a podcast before and sounds like, they're going to crap their pants.
Break them in.
Yeah, because I love celebrating anybody who's doing something brilliant and has a great idea to share. So if somebody writes a genius post inside a Copy Chief, I want them on this show sharing it for the listeners too.
So before we give everyone a tease of what's coming up next, just tell us a little bit, because we're calling this Copy Chief Radio. What exactly is Copy Chief?
Yeah, so it's a community of business owners and freelance copywriters, marketers who really want to communicate better. So a typical thing that goes on in Copy Chief is, one of the great things about it is you can post up any ad you have and get feedback from the community, right? And it's cool that it's not just, look, if you wanted to hire a top level copywriter to critique your ad, it would cost you a minimum of $1,000 to do that, a minimum, if not way more. Like, for instance, there are copywriters for 1 hour on the phone with them is $5,000, right? No kidding. And so the fact that you can come into Copy Chief and post up any ad you have running, ask for specific advice about it, and have, top level pros as well as other people who might be in your industry or somebody in a similar industry give you constructive feedback on how to improve that ad is a huge value. That's just one of the things we do. We also have over a dozen trainings on how to do everything from write better subject lines to make, fast, fun little tip videos, how to create a pre-sell article lander page. We've broken down some of the highest converting sales pages and sales videos of all time. And so you can really get underneath the hood of these things and see how they work. So it's, there's endless things for you to do in there. But I think the coolest thing about it is that you can get real-time feedback from brilliant people on how to immediately move the needle on your sales.
For sure. I've experienced that. So what do we have coming up in the next episode?
Yeah, so the next episode is we're going to start a 3-part series. And these are 3 things that must happen before you can sell a single thing. A lot of people have great ideas that either never get off the ground or great ideas that are fizzling out, great offers, or, things that or it's being sold incorrectly. So I'm going to give, and this is, from a lot of in the trenches research, as I said, over 10 years doing this for myself and with clients. And I recently spent 10 hours, Jonathan, on one-on-one consultations. And I had some really revealing takeaways from those private sessions. And it really boils down to these 3 things that everybody needs to do before they can really start to skyrocket their sales. And so that's what we're going to share over the next, actually 3 episodes. So they'll get the first thing of 3 on the very next one.
All right. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one. You've been listening to Copy Chief Radio. Thank you for tuning in. If you're digging what we are laying down for you, then your next step is to go over to iTunes, type in Copy Chief Radio into the search bar, and when you find the show, subscribe. We will be back in your earbuds next week.
This is the podcastfactory.com.